The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the system is down.
Hey, what's up, Downers? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. The System is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, and religion. If you're new here, welcome to the show. Go find the person who invited you, give him a big hashtag #MeToo kiss on the mouth and slap on the rear from you and me, because I appreciate you being here and because you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it even though you're probably already triggered by the title. Why libertarians or libertarians should vote for Donald Trump, hashtag changemymind, or something to that effect is what I'm going to title it. So welcome. It's a fun one, and we're going to get into it in just a moment. It's my conversation with Jon Schweppe. He's been on the show a lot. We're friends going way back to high school. It's always fun to catch up with him. I just want to preface by saying, if you're going into this expecting this to be some sort of, ardent, always Trumper, like, crazy person, you're not going to get that. This is not me. This is not an interview. This is not me interviewing a guy about Trump. This is a conversation between two friends about where we're at on the political spectrum of things right now, as we are only a couple days out of the election. And this is probably going to be a midweek episode because, I've got a lot of things to talk about. Scott McElroy's coming down this weekend from Wisconsin. He's coming down to stay with us. If you're not familiar, he hosts our QAnon episode, QAnon Chronicles. He's going to be coming down, so we're going to be inevitably chatting about something or other, probably having a lot of, good fun conversations about the stuff, the craziness that's going on right now. So that'll probably be coming out Monday. I'm going to go ahead and put this one out because I'm not going to fill up your feed entirely with Donald Trump stuff leading up to the election because I'm not voting for Trump. I'll just say that right here from the top, from the get-go. I was not, spoiler alert, my mind was not changed. But, so if you're triggered by Trump, then just don't tune into this one. If you are okay with two people having a conversation where they disagree on something, two friends having just a fun casual chat about politics, then that's what we're here for. That's what the show is all about. And that's what the show started all about 4 years ago. Right around this time is when the idea of the show started becoming a thing, talking about these uncomfortable things like conspiracies, politics, and religion, and things that a lot of people get annoyed with me talking about, but there are those like Jon Schweppe who enjoy digging into them as well as I do, and as well as you do if you're here, most likely. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And we're gonna talk about Trump today, just cause it's fun. It's fun to talk. And most of my friends get annoyed by me talking about these things. So if I have a friend who is like, hey, I want to talk about politics, I'm going to say, sure, let's do it. Let's do that. And let's record it and put it out. So I hope you enjoy this. Before we do, got to remind you guys about the sponsors. The Downers Club is the first one. You guys sponsor the show primarily with your hard-earned and much appreciated dollars. You're what keeps the show getting bigger and better, more beautiful every week. You can join the Downers Club and get bonus episodes of the show every week at patreon.com/The System is Down. You'll also get our entire backlog of content, tons and tons, countless hours that will get you. You can probably listen to it, and if you listen to it all nonstop, you could probably get through the year 2021 without ever having to take your headphones off. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's a possibility. Another thing that is a possibility is getting free kratom, free drugs, kids. That's right. freeounceofkratom.com is the website, and Brave Botanicals is the company. So cheers, check them out. I'm drinking the White Borneo right now. I was drinking it while we recorded this episode. I'm recording this right after, doing this right after recording the main episode and right before doing the bonus episode. So I can't really speak too much as to what the bonus episode is going to be, but we're going to find out. And Kratom's good. Kratom is what makes me talky. It's what makes me my brain work faster. Keeps me awake and alert, and I recommend trying it out. And you can try it out right now at freeounceofkratom.com. You can also get 5% off your entire order, whatever it is. They have other things like colloidal silver, CBD oil, and natural vitamins and minerals, all the things that the government loves to take away from you and make it harder to sell because they have a harder time putting their patents on them. You can find all that at freeounceofkratom.com. or I believe mybraveBotanicals.com, but just go to freeounceofkratom.com, enter the promo code TSID, and you can try out Kratom today. See if it does the same thing for you. Let me know what you think. I like it. I like it a lot, and I think you might too. If you have I have a hard time focusing sometimes. I have a hard time keeping that energy up. It certainly helps me in the midday episodes that I record, especially. So check it out, freeounceofkratom.com. Enter the promo code TSID so they know we sent you. And with that, we will get into what you're here for, which is my heretical conversation with Jon Schweppe about Donald Trump and why he thinks that libertarians should just go for it. Let me know what you think, but here's that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get weird.
Life is good.
Mhm.
I'm really worried about the future. Thinking about moving to Alito.
All right, well, let's just jump into this, and we can catch you up as part of it. Oh, we're back with Jon Trumpster Schweppe, the biggest shill on this platform that has ever been, aside from Scott McElroy, possibly. But Jon is if you're a new listener, Jon's been on the show quite a few times. We were friends from high school, and he moved out to DC and got into politics way before I did. And so we're here to catch up. Maybe he can, hashtag change my mind and convince me that Trump is the better vote for libertarians. I'm certainly open to having my mind changed, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, there's no real agenda here. This is just catching up, and we're like a week out from election, right? Something like that?
5 days.
5 days. So
Yeah.
less than a week out from election, which reminds me of the thing that I was wanting to get done today instead of doing this episode. So I hope you guys appreciate it. But we're a week out from election, and we've got Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and some other people are in the running as well. And we're just going to catch up and chat about those things. So, Jon, what's up, man?
Not much. And by that, I mean a lot. It's been pretty crazy.
We haven't
I'm
talked
really
since the world ended, even. Like, we haven't spoken in person since COVID. And, I mean, Kanye West is no longer a Trump enthusiast. Lots has
True.
changed since we
true.
last spoke.
Man, it's been that long. I guess we've talked offline, but we haven't spoken on the podcast, huh?
Right.
Yeah, it's been a year. It's been a really crazy year.
Mhm.
I know for me, like working on the big tech censorship, I think that was the last time we spoke. That's obviously moved in a pretty crazy direction. The platforms are absolutely going crazy, trying to censor conservatives with a few days left before the election. And yeah, I mean, it's been wild. How's life in the libertarian circuit then?
I gotta say, becoming a libertarian has been the most lucrative decision I've ever made in my life at this point.
Making the big bucks?
No, it's been good. I'm not like raking in the money compared to my normal. I'm used to living off of nothing, so it has been very, very kind to me this year. And at normally I do weddings, and I don't know what I would have done because all my weddings were canceled for the summer. I don't know what I would have done if this whole thing hadn't fallen into place where I was doing the Cohen, Jorgensen, Vermin videos and all that stuff. So it's been good. It's been great.
I will brag about you briefly on your own show if you don't mind. But no,
Please.
I've
You're
shared.
always welcome.
I've shared your videos for Vermin Supreme and then for Joe, and I've shared them with a lot of Republican operatives, and everyone is like, "Man, this guy's amazing! Like these are really good." So I'm hoping that maybe we can get you a little bit more money in the future if you sell out.
I've been asked by I was asked I think last week by one of the people on the Vermin's team. They were like, would you ever make anything for like Democrats, Republicans, stuff like that? And I was like, I'm a whore, but I'm not cheap. The price goes up if I don't believe in the message, but a client is a client, so it is what it is.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it depends. It depends on who the person is. Like if I can't sleep at night knowing that I made, some actual tyrant look like an awesome dude, then that's another thing a bridge that I'll have to cross when we get there. But we'll just see if he gets reelected.
Yeah, no, I think, this will actually get into our discussion about Trump, but ultimately, like, you have to be able to sleep at night, right? And so if you, and the other thing is if you work for one of the two parties, you can't really work for the other one. So you almost have to have a binary choice here.
Sure.
You know, who you gonna pick? You
Well.
can make a little money with the Libertarians, respect, or you can make a lot of money with one of the two parties. It's a
So you're just
binary
here to
choice.
literally buy me out in the future. You're like, I don't care about Trump. We just need you.
We need Dan Smots
right.
taking over the Republican Party digital ads. That would be pretty sweet.
Well, I've been called a Republican light plenty of times this year. So, you know, if y'all push me out, I'll do what I must. No, it's been good, and I can definitely sleep at night knowing that I've made a fair amount of money off of doing this. I've been paid what I asked. They were fair, and they were kind and cool to work with. And more importantly, I believed in the message, and they gave me a lot of free rein on that, and kind of just let me do my thing and paid me to do what I wanted to do anyway, and just slap Joe's name on the end of it and put a message out there. So it's been good.
Well, I will tell you, and all your Libertarian listeners, I'm here in Arlington, and I see more Joe signs than I do see Trump signs.
Really?
Now, granted, part of that is that every time someone puts up a Trump sign, they are stolen before the next day. So that's probably a big part of it. But yeah, no, we see these Joe signs with Joe's face on the left side of the sign, just staring at you.
I've got one. It's not in my yard, I will say. I have one without her head in my yard, but I didn't until this is how dedicated I am to that. Sorry guys, but this is my level of dedication to the campaign is the campaign. I'm not here for an election. I love Spike and all that. I'm not here for an election. I'm here for a message, and at the end of the day, that's what I care about. But my level of dedication is that I never bought a sign, and I went to all these rallies with Spike, and I went to the convention, and there were free signs everywhere this whole time. And I'm like, I'm not going to try and figure out a way to get that home, even if it's free.
Yeah.
And then I went to one here in Cedar Rapids where I was driving just last week. So I finally picked up a free one and put it in my yard. But I feel like my videos have done more than signs.
They are nice collectibles, like to have, you know, like, I mean, I'm looking at your wall right now. Like you could easily put a sign or two up there.
Yeah. I've got all sorts of Civil War II propaganda that I've purchased along the way.
Very good.
I've got the Joe Biden coloring book. I've got a check from Melania Trump encouraging me to contribute $45 to the GOP. Like I get shit from both sides all over the place. And frankly, it's kind of annoying at this point, but
Joe looks great in that picture, by the way. Like he's been working out.
He really cleans up.
Holy cow.
Oh, here's my personal
He looks like Mike Pence. Oh, what is happening?
Have you not seen this coloring book?
No.
This is I think they were even selling it at Walmart. It's Hot Cup of Joe, a piping hot coloring book with America's sexiest moderate, Joe Biden.
What is happening?
It's a real thing. I heard about it. Some Republicans were outraged that they were, pushing sex on children or whatever they jumped to immediately. And I was like, I'm going to go buy that because I need to have one of those.
That's pretty incredible. Wow.
I thought about coloring them and auctioning them off. Having people purchase Joe Biden's sexy colorings made by me.
Might have been a good idea.
Anyway, so how's Schweppe? Schweppe has what, 5 kids now?
2 and 1 on the way.
Yeah.
No, life's been good. I mean, it's just, it's been really intense with the election and, just in an election year, this ends up dominating your life as you're getting a taste of with the campaign.
Oh, yes.
So, I'm looking forward to election month being over next month at some point. And then we figure out where we go from there. But
do you think a month is going to be long enough for us to even have the results?
We might not. That. I mean, we might not know until the Supreme Court decides or something. I think it's going to be incredibly close. People have asked me that, and I do think that Trump wins, but I think the margins in all these states are just going to be very, very close. So, again, binary choice. It's a very important election.
The most important of our lifetime, right?
Yeah.
It's so important that we should probably decide between one of the two parties that put us in the predicament that we're in, and keep going with that. So, Jon Schweppe, let's start with that. Why are you a Republican, and why are you pretending to not be a Libertarian so strongly? Is it because there's better money in the Republicans?
No, it's not that, actually. No, I mean, really what it comes down to is that there's some issues that I definitely would, we've had this conversation before on your podcast. There's some issues I probably agree more with the libertarian position. I'm certainly anti-war. Don't really agree with torturing American citizens, things like that. Fortunately, I think this president has been pretty good on those issues. But,
Kind of.
you know, ultimately what it comes down to is that, at least this is the way I see it, the biggest threat to America is concentrated power, whether it be in the government or in corporations.
Mhm.
And I feel strongly that both are an equal threat. So not only do I not want to have government interfering in my life, but I don't want to have corporations infringing on my liberties either. And I think the big tech thing, I mean, I've been a conservative for a long time. It's not like I'm, you know, just coming to that, but I think the big tech thing has been the issue that's really made me feel separate from the libertarians more than any, just because I don't think that corporate power run amok is an acceptable thing. And, you know, we've seen the power that these, you know, trillion-dollar companies have, and now they're influencing our election and openly so.
No.
Okay, I'll wait on
To
that.
Jack
I'll wait
Dorsey. No, they do
Oh
not.
yeah,
have
no,
that
he
power.
said that. He said that yesterday. By the way, did you watch that hearing yesterday?
The Ted Cruz. I saw the
Yeah,
Ted Cruz.
you saw the
bit.
clip.
I didn't see anything else.
Dude, Jack Dorsey was 100% high.
Yeah.
There's like no question about it. Like that hearing, it was like, what are you? And it wasn't like marijuana.
What happened
either.
to him?
It was something.
Has he always had the beard and nose ring and seems like he just got back from an ayahuasca trip or something?
I have no idea.
I'm not judging. Just,
I mean, if he was
not
trying
what
to
I
come
pictured.
across, like, no guys, like I'm not this out of touch Silicon Valley oligarch. He didn't do it. Like he came across as, you know, one of the weirdos from the Silicon Valley TV show.
He came across as hipster dad who's trying to be relevant. And he definitely comes across as one of the guys from one of the douchebags from Silicon Valley, the show.
But just getting back to your question, I think ultimately, I am a two-party guy. I wish there could be more, but as long as we have an extreme Democratic Party where they are,
so fear.
I mean, I am fearful for the future of the country. So
Sure.
I understand, especially like in the past, I think, you know, there's been a good argument that both sides are trying to get us to the same place. They just have different policies and different ways of getting there. And I think what we've seen from the radical left, you know, honestly, I'm scared for the future of the country. And so it is absolutely a fearful vote for the Republicans. That being said, I have enjoyed President Trump's presidency. I think he's been pretty good. I mean, like,
I have enjoyed the fact that the guy that I finally came around to won, and I've loved every second of the fact that my guy won.
All of my concerns with him that I had in 2015, all of the, you know, things we talked about, the idea, is he pro-life? He's been more pro-life than any Republican president has been.
Sure.
You know, is he gonna care about you know, working class people? I think he does. You know, so there's I don't know. I've been satisfied with this presidency, and so for me, it's just a very clear, like, I don't really have to weigh this decision. I think he deserves re-election.
Sure.
Where in 2016, you know, it was more of a fear vote. It was, what would Hillary Clinton do? We don't know what Trump is. He's kind of a wild card. Let's hope he's good.
Yeah. So fear vote. I'm not for the fear vote personally. And we can get into this a little bit more, but I don't think that my vote matters that much. And I don't think, even more so, I don't think the president really directly affects my life as much as the media would have us believe.
That might be true. But I think that the Democrats want the presidency to affect your life more.
Sure.
You know, I think if they have total control of the House and the Senate.
Do you really think that much will change, though? Like, I mean, every president talks about ending the wars. One side talks about ending abortion. One talks about keeping abortion. They both talk about this magical healthcare system that they're going to create, that nothing ever really changes all that drastically. Does it even matter?
I think it does, especially, you know, on individual issues. There'll obviously be impacts on all of them. So abortion, for example, Joe Biden has pledged to overturn the Hyde Amendment, which is, you know, basically there would be taxpayer funding for abortion. Abortion would be expanded. Planned Parenthood would run amok. You know, with I'm gonna pull something out here. So I did this report. This is what drives me absolutely crazy about the left. This is my report. I wrote it. It's very cool. Black Lives Matter and the Breathe Act. And
I like that you brought props.
yes, I didn't mean to. It was just sitting here, and I just kind of thought of it. But in this, obviously the Black Lives Matter movement, the idea of police reform is a reasonable policy position. It's something we should discuss.
Yes.
But it's a well-funded leftist movement that Joe Biden supports. And I looked up, we were writing this paper about them, and we looked up their model legislation, the Breathe Act, which sounds like it would just be criminal justice reform or what have you. And it's absolutely crazy. Like, I can't even tell you all the things in here. They ban prisons. They give you immunity from prosecution under the age of 24, which sounds great for school shooters. I haven't tested that line yet, so I'm glad I did it on this show.
You found the right place to test out your material. Thank you for making me
there's Medicare for all, college for all, Green New Deal. I mean, it's wild. And I just don't see Joe Biden, people say he's a moderate, but he's shown just a willingness to just cater to the crazy leftists. And I think
Joe Biden will do anything that is asked of him from his party. He will just be that. We have seen that in this campaign, even like he's flip-flopped even just on, are we going to endorse like the riots and looting, or are we going to be tough on crime? Like, he's nothing to me. He is. If you want to be afraid of the party, fine. If you want to push that, but I'm not afraid of Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is just whatever mouthpiece.
He's an empty suit. No, yeah. I agree, and that's what makes it hard, by the way, to run against him, because it's hard to make the case that this guy is evil. Like, if it was Kamala, I think you could easily.
She makes that case for herself pretty easily.
Right, but Biden is literally just this, elderly guy who's losing it a little bit. Yeah. And
I do want to say quickly, if anybody knows any ardent Joe Biden supporters, I would invite them to come on the show too, because I just don't know any. Like, I don't know anybody who's excited about this old bag of nothing. Like, there's nothing to this man. Nobody's excited about him. They're just excited about getting Trump out of there.
Did you follow Joe Biden like 10 years ago at all?
No.
So I'll tell you, like, he was actually a really talented politician. I remember seeing him in the debates in 2008, and like, he's just very charismatic, like just owned the crowd. And that guy's gone, man. Like, I mean, like that's what's kind of sad about, I mean, this is kind of concern trolling, but
right.
it really is sad. Like, he's not where he was even 4 years ago.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I think you should elect a strong leader who is going to do what they say, who has principles, and will commit to them. And I just don't think
like
we get
Kamala
that.
Harris.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you want it, that's ultimately it. Like, if you are comfortable with Kamala Harris, and she's the most radical leftist in the Senate, has gone after journalists and pro-lifers in California. I mean, if that's it, then okay. I mean, I guess you can support her, but really, I mean, yeah, like, this ultimately, if the purpose, you said there was no purpose, but if the purpose of this podcast is for me to convince you, ultimately, I think what it is there's two reasons to vote Libertarian. Okay, one is you can sleep at night, right? Like, I mean, that you are just comfortable with that. And the second is actually a really practical reason, which is a friend of mine who's a Libertarian voted for Joe and said this was his number one reason. You want to get her to 5%, right? So that's the Libertarian Party goal. And maybe you can break this duopoly if you can start getting third parties above 5%. And maybe you can get to a point where we're, more like European democracies, where there's coalition building and where we're not at war constantly.
Right.
Maybe that, and I see the value in that. I do see the value in that. I probably disagree with Joe on a lot of issues, but long term, I think that's a really good idea. But ultimately, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know that we have elections much longer if Biden is elected. I'm just being honest. Like I've seen what they're trying to do with the Voting Reform Act, HR 1 that was passed in the House. I mean, they want to do automatic voter registration. They want to have months and months of voting so they can get every single person to vote, most of whom the only exposure to politics they have is by watching Saturday Night Live or seeing something on TV. And this is kind of like the question of democracy versus a republic. Like,
Yeah.
Look, I want people who want to vote to vote. I want people who want to vote to vote. But like, if you don't know what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
like you are just getting your news from left-wing institutions, and all you have to go on is that Orange Man is bad, I guess, because this NFL player told me that. I don't want you voting. Like, I really don't. And so, that can be quoted and used against me, I guess. But
I've said the same thing, and I know that it may be hypocritical of me, but it's like, even when I vote locally within the last couple of years that I've done it, like before that, I would just go and vote R because I was a Republican. I didn't care about any of this stuff. But since I've started actually learning what things are, like, I mean, we don't have too many libertarian candidates running down ballot around in Illinois anyway. So if they are a libertarian, I'll look into them, make sure they're like, I'll even look into the libertarians, make sure I agree with them before I vote for them. If you don't know what you're voting for, then why bother? Like, you're just fucking up the system anyway. I've said, like, I feel like we should have like a questionnaire. Like, you just have to answer like 1 or 2 questions correctly about the candidate. Like, you have to say why or something. Like, you have to know one thing about them before you just check a box. But I don't know.
But the left would say that's voter suppression and you're a racist.
Maybe it is. Fine. Okay. Well, like, why are you voting if you don't know what you're voting for? Why are you voting if you don't know anything about the person that you're checking the box for?
So that's my biggest fear. I mean, we're seeing turnout is going to be absolutely insane this election cycle.
Yeah. And I would say the same for Republicans who vote for Donald Trump just because he's a Republican. Like,
that's right.
He wasn't a Republican before he ran as a Republican. So you're just voting for a guy because he's got an R next to his name, and you shouldn't be. I don't know. I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I just think there's got to be a way to like make people try a little bit in life. Maybe not.
So I wrote down my 3 reasons that I can see feasibly for a libertarian like yourself to vote for Trump.
Give me the Rand Paul. Why libertarians?
And one of these
is Trump.
This first one might be a Rand Paul. You love Trump, you agree with most of his policies, and that's enough for you. You know that. That's an obvious one. I don't think you're there. I'm sure you agree with Trump on some policies, but I don't think you're totally there, right? What would be? I'll just ask you, like, what would be your biggest concerns with him?
I don't honestly have, like, I'm not going to say that I hate Trump. I'm not scared of Trump any more than I am scared of Biden. I don't think he's this tyrant either, so I'm not going to, flower this up. I don't have that many concerns or issues with him outside of things that have been problems with the system long before Trump was there, like the wars and stuff like that, which he's done some good things on war, but he's also had some issues on, like, bump stock banning and Second Amendment issues and stuff like that. Outside of those and maybe a little a sprinkling of xenophobia here and there, I'm okay with him winning personally. I'm not excited about it. I just think that it's not good enough. Like, I think that there is better options. I'm not, like, obviously I think that Joe Jorgensen would be a better option to implement anti-war stuff and anti-drug war and all that type of thing. But I don't think that he's done too terribly much to push us in a terrible direction so far, outside of just the divisiveness of the way he speaks.
Okay. So that's number 1. You love Trump. Okay. Which maybe,
that's a stretch.
The second
I will
one
say
is
that I'm thoroughly entertained by Trump, and I get a great laugh out of him on a regular basis. And
he's been great for anti-news.
Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely.
So the second and third are kind of similar, but this is just what I wrote down. The second one is it's a spite vote. So you vote for Trump to spite the left. You don't like Biden. You don't like the left institutions, which, the left controls pretty much every institution now. Maybe not the church. And then the third one
depends on what you would call a church, because there's some cults out there that I would qualify as a. Never mind.
That sounds like a different topic. We should get Cole on for that. And then number 3 would be, so this argument was made in 2016. And I still think it's a very good one. Have you heard about the Flight 93 essay? This is a 9/11 reference. You'll love it.
Okay.
Okay.
It sounds familiar.
So Michael Anton with the Claremont Institute, of whom I have an affiliation, wrote this wonderful essay back in 2016 called The Flight 93 Election. And basically what he said is, we're all on a plane. We're all on the Flight 93. Hijackers have hijacked the cockpit. So we have two choices. We either charge the cockpit or we die. Right? Like, so the whole point of this was, we don't know what Trump is, you know, and at 2016, we really didn't. It was kind of a gamble. I think we won the gamble, but I think it was a gamble. But we knew what Hillary was. And so we knew that, you know, long-term, a third term in a row of Democratic rule, expanding the administrative state, working in collusion with increasingly left-wing corporations, big tech, et cetera, it was over. Like, it was a really important election, as you might not like to hear. So same thing applies here, I think, because what's happened is that, and maybe it is because Trump has been divisive, I don't know, but the left is clearly radicalized in 4 years, to the point now where I think Hillary Clinton seems like she wouldn't be that bad of an option if it was 4 years ago.
I mean, I can definitely see where people would be more concerned by left antics this go around than they were with Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton was a monster and we knew it, and we could see the things that she's done and predict where she would be going. Now it's just anybody's game. Like, who even knows what tomorrow's going to be in 2020.
So for me, that Flight 93 essay just kind of, it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, now granted, I'm a fan of Trump now in a way I wasn't quite in 2016. I mean, I supported him, but you know, I'd still kind of have to apologize for some of his comments and feel like that. And I don't really feel like that anymore. I mean, I can wiggle out of it. This is why you say I'm a Trump shill. I could probably wiggle out of it. You'd have to bring up some really tough ones for me to.
I got to be honest, like the
locker room talk.
Right, the things that are most commonly used, unless they're illegal things, whatever. I don't care if your president is an asshole. Can he do the job well? And it's kind of the same for Joe Jorgensen. Like, I've got issues with some things that she said, but I'm like, hey, do I find her boring? Yes. If she was in office, though, that's fine. I would love to have a boring president that we don't have to hear from. Like, I would love if they just did their job and left us the fuck alone and all the media died.
So that answer concerns me, because I think that's a common answer and where a lot of people are at, and
Sure.
Biden would seem to be that return to normal.
Sure.
Right?
I definitely don't see that in Biden, though. So.
You don't, but
No.
but I really do think, like, if Biden does win next week or next month, or
right,
whatever,
they see it as a return to normalcy of back before we started paying attention, because we didn't have a guy who was orange, who was a comedian, making some people laugh and making some people angry. Like, it was just politics for politics, and we left that alone. Now it's literally in everything, every sport and movie and everything, and you can't escape it. So I can see why people would be like, well, back when Obama was president, we didn't have this problem, so let's go back to that, so I don't have to think about it anymore.
So I'm wondering if you have like a kind of take on this Flight 93 essay, given your thoughts on Flight 93.
I'm not.
I mean, the real
Alex
Flight 93.
Jones fear porn. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. Is it possible? Sure. Is it going, like, both sides have always used this every 4 years.
That's
It's
true.
the end of the
That's
year.
true.
It's going to be a nightmare. And that's what I'm saying. What has really changed? What has really gotten better, or even really gotten worse over the last, like, Obama, Bush, Clinton, even, like, not much other than, you know, war stuff has changed that drastically, and drug war and things like that. Nothing has really improved, and I don't see that much improving. Maybe the economy with Trump will get better once COVID goes away, but that's the problem, though, is that COVID isn't going away if Donald Trump gets elected. They're going to keep, you know, screaming about
But it
COVID
will
and
go
how
away
terrible
if
Donald Trump
Biden is. It will. No, I
Right,
mean, that's something.
exactly.
November 4th, you'll be able to go out without a mask again. It's
All
gonna be
right,
great.
so can we get Biden in there so we don't have to pretend anymore that we're all going to die?
Yeah,
Like,
I feel
anything that is out of fear, I'm just not buying it anymore.
This is, by the way, this is why I won't be upset with the American people if Biden wins.
Yeah.
Because I really do think it's just these elite institutions literally holding us hostage with a gun to our heads, saying, vote for Biden or you die. Who is it from South Park, the vote or die meme? Like, yeah, it's literally that. and Mark Zuckerberg's doing the same thing, sending you a message every 5 minutes to go
Yes.
vote. So
Yes.
yeah, no, I get it. I just think, I mean, this is kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm trying to figure out what my contingencies are. You know, if Trump wins, there's a lot of fun stuff I can work on out here, and I'm really excited about it. If Trump loses, you know, I just don't know. I guess I just kind of think that we go the way of China, and I'm sure you can live in China and be happy. You just
I
live a
know a
different
guy
type
who
of
lives in
life.
China who seems to like their government. I don't get it.
You just live in China, and you live a life where it's not America, because you won't have these freedoms. You'll just live without those freedoms and just say, well, I don't need to rock the boat. Or, you know, if I say something that we would call free speech here in America, in China, it's you know, trying to cause insurrection or whatever. So that's my fear. And it has less to do with Joe Biden than what he represents and who's supporting him. I think the big tech is probably the biggest threat to our freedom, and I don't think you'll be allowed to be in your podcast will be taken down. I don't think I'll be allowed to speak out. I think they will completely destroy our speech.
Stone's throw away from that right now. But I mean, what do you say to the people who, you know, use the same tactics that the right often uses, which is, if you don't like it, you can leave. If the majority of people want communism, I guess we give the people communism. We'll have to go do something else, or we'll, you know, have to have an uprising and overthrow the government, as I would be more inclined to do. But yeah.
I mean, so that's actually, I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to be very careful here.
Sure.
Because I don't want to say anything.
Okay.
But how likely is crack up after this?
Is what?
I mean, that is secession, is a two United States of Americas. Or is that just something that we're just crazy out here thinking we're close to that?
I think that it wouldn't surprise me if it happened, but I think it's kind of the same as the last 100 elections. I don't think it's as crucial as people pretend, or as the media will have you believe, to keep you in fear that something will change if you don't take bad action. I think that more than likely people will go on bitching and posting on Facebook and Twitter, and then maybe we'll have some new social medias. But I think that's about the extent of the Civil War. I could be wrong, but that would be
just kind of a more natural ghettoization of the two sides, right? Like that, like you just mentioned, possibly doing new social media. So if Twitter and Facebook ban our ability to say a baby is alive in the womb or whatever, then we just go to Parler, and then we just kind of have our own echo chambers and just continue. I mean, this is actually, I think this is already happening even on the platforms.
Yeah, the problem is that it's not
fueling us.
The problem is that it's not a hard and fast rule yet. Like right now, we've got some Republicans, some conservatives, some libertarians, even I would imagine some Democrats. I don't know if too many, but people being censored for their political leanings, seemingly. But they're not coming out and saying it. Once they're able to come out and say it, then we'll automatically have a new platform that's going to explode. That is just conservatives, or is just libertarians, or whatever. But right now, there's some people, like, they're not doing a hard and fast ban, or they're not like squashing everybody. So these other platforms pop up by the people who are pissed off, who got kicked off, and then they go make their little infestation chamber. And you know, everybody else, like you and I, we're still on Facebook. We just go about our daily lives typically, and we don't push against it enough for anything to really change, because they're just kind of trickling in this little censorship here and there. I mean, everybody can agree Alex Jones is a crazy person, so, you know, we can get rid of him. And then there's Lions of Liberty getting censored, me having things taken down, you having
Did Lions of Liberty get censored?
Yeah, we're both demonetized. I don't remember. I know that they were demonetized, and we both keep getting, you know, warnings on Facebook that our stuff is infactual.
Yeah. No, I mean, like that's kind of the scary thing. And look, I'm also saying this during a Trump presidency, right? Like, I mean, this is what I've been brainstorming and trying to figure out, but like, we don't have a lot of ways to stop big tech from doing what they're doing. Like, there's lots of talk in Congress about Section 230. There's lots of hearings. You know, Cruz owned Dorsey yesterday and got a really nice 60-second clip. And I thought it was really cool. But like, what are we actually going to do to stop them? And I don't know. I mean, they've grown so powerful. You know, conservatives are don't want to do government regulation. They don't want to do antitrust necessarily. So, that maybe is an argument against my binary choice. I don't know. Maybe nihilism is just the answer. Like, I'll just,
Well, that's the thing. You and I agree on quite a bit. Like,
Mhm.
even I, just in that last thing, was basically making your case for you. But with the Ted Cruz thing, what's your take on that? Because there's one thing I thought overall it was like good. Finally, somebody is actually calling these people out in public. Like, let's at least have the discussion so people can see it. Because all we hear is like, the little guys complaining that they're getting censored, and that's just
Mhm.
like attack points or whatever. But now we actually have Senator Ted Cruz coming out and saying something about it. But do you really think? I'm sure I know where you lean on this based on what you've said. But like, he said that is stopping the New York, was it Times or Post or who was it?
Post.
Yeah,
Mhm.
stopping the New York Post from sharing their opinion. But again, it is his platform to do so if he feels like it. What's your take on that?
So I think there's two arguments here, and one is harder to make than the other. So I'll make the hard one first. The hard one is, I think these companies, as I've said before in your show, they get this special immunity from the government. They're huge companies, they're market dominant. I think that to earn that immunity, do need to provide a public square where people are allowed to speak freely. And so that's been my argument on the policy side, is shifting that immunity from being unconditional to being conditional on them adhering to free speech principles.
Right.
But the second thing I think is really interesting, and this is the one I want to pursue more. So we do have campaign finance law in this country. Twitter's breaking the law, actually, by censoring that story. They're obviously, corporations are not allowed to contribute directly to candidates and parties, even in an in-kind fashion, which is like
Censoring
something
their
with monetary value. Right. And so when they censor opposition, whatever the value of that is, and it's hard to even say what the value of the New York Post story is. It might even be worth billions of dollars to the Biden campaign. That's a campaign contribution. And so I've been pushing for that, and I think we're actually getting some movement on it. But I think that we should go after the companies for that, and maybe that will be the incentive for them to stop doing it. But keep allowing them the freedom to still be private companies, but no, it's just, I'm kind of at this point, a lot of people wrestle with what the principles should be, how we should wrestle with their property rights versus our speech rights, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just focused on ends, honestly. I don't think that this is a tenable situation where millions of Americans are not allowed to speak freely in the digital communications medium where everyone is. And I do believe, I said this on a show yesterday, it's very edgy, you're gonna like it. But I think, look, like, if First Amendment isn't followed, if First Amendment principles aren't adhered to, you know what comes after the First Amendment. And that's just the truth. Like, if we aren't allowed to speak,
that's some Republican edge right there, my friend.
No, it is very edgy. But if we aren't allowed to speak, and if entire
why we have the
society,
Second Amendment? It's so that if the government gets out of line, we can go shoot some politicians in the fucking face. That's why we have the Second Amendment. How's that?
Oh, I was talking about the Third Amendment. What are you talking? No.
Oh, okay.
But no, I do. We've seen this throughout history. When in a republic, when people are silenced, when they're not allowed to speak out, when they don't have political representation, revolution. Like, what do you expect? So we need to.
But the left sees it as that's what they're doing right now. They're having this revolution against, and we don't have to get into the BLM stuff. And I don't know. If you want to give thoughts on that, you're welcome to. I just feel like I've talked about it way too much.
With the BLM stuff, I'm very sympathetic to the idea, I always have been, of police exerting too much force, maybe police power being too much. I'm sympathetic to that. That's an issue I'm libertarian on. You look at some of these incidents. Now, unfortunately, we get fake news on a lot of them. But you look at some of these incidents, I'm thinking of Eric Garner was one of the ones I remember that was absolutely egregious. Choked him to death. That's where the "I can't breathe" thing came from. There was no argument there. Even the George Floyd one, I've seen the whole video, so it definitely casts a shadow on it. But my goodness, like, it looked pretty bad, right? Yeah. So, but that being said, that's not. While I think that's when people say Black Lives Matter, like normal people, I really do think that's what they're thinking about. And that's totally respectable, and I get it. But the movement is not about that. It is literally about exploiting those incidents and then trying to do some anarcho-communist revolution.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And so, I don't know, man. I mean, like, that's just kind of, I don't know how to, it was really
And
smart
qualified
of them to
immunity.
use.
Do you agree?
So I don't know enough about that issue, but I will tell you from my tech stuff, I don't like immunity. I think that I really like the court system.
Do you
I
think that cops should have cops should be able to be sued when they do something like what happened to these cases that you mentioned?
I'm sympathetic. So I don't know. I haven't like come up with yes, I absolutely believe this, because I haven't heard like the argument against qualified immunity, or sorry, against getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm sure there's some good arguments, like you don't want to have frivolous lawsuits against cops who are acting in good faith or what have you.
Sure.
But no, I'm very sympathetic to the idea that bad cops should be prosecuted for doing wrong. I agree with that.
I do like your answer, because I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like, obviously we should end qualified immunity, but I still haven't heard the other side of that argument thoroughly enough for me to really make a good decision or to speak too much on it. But I feel like, and this is just my feels, if a cop has the ability to be sued and they have to wear a body camera at all time, like, they would want to be wearing that body camera. They would want to have it on because they would want to prove that they're not doing anything wrong, and they would be incentivized to not do anything wrong because they're always being watched, as they should be if they're there to, serve and protect, or
which,
whatever.
By the way, body cameras are the greatest idea ever. And you know who's against them? Weird.
Are they?
I don't understand it, because that is the absolute best way to make sure all the facts are out there, to provide this watchful eye on the cops.
The less evidence you have, the safer you'll be. Like,
right.
I don't.
It's crazy to me.
So is that part of the BLM organization platform that they're against body cams?
So it's in here in the Breathe Act. This is it's like 183 pages. It was put out by the Movement for Black Lives, which is an umbrella organization of 150 of the smaller Black Lives Matter organizations, and it's their model legislation. They have Ayanna Pressley and Rashida Tlaib are going to co-sponsor it. They're going to introduce it in the next Congress. So it's really, it sounds really good. Like, I think when I hear Breathe, I think of that Eric Garner case, which was deplorable. And so obviously, it sounds good, and I understand why most people want to do the hashtag Black Lives Matter stuff, because of course Black Lives Matter. Like, that's not hard to say. But yeah, it's bad.
So let's shift gears here a little bit. Libertarians should vote for Donald Trump as a protest vote. Not buying it. Not buying it.
I think
join the systems that you can protest it. I've seen it done. Austin Peterson. And Rand Paul. And
I don't think it's just that. Let me make a libertarian argument. Okay. I think it's clear that the president, while he does have some authoritarian tendencies with the way he talks, his administration has deconstructed the administrative state more than they've built it up. I think he's done good stuff on criminal justice reform. I think there's a strong argument. I mean, it is a binary choice thing. Maybe he's not perfect, but I do think that he's clearly better for libertarians than the alternative, which is a left-wing authoritarian
I don't disagree with
regime.
That. I don't disagree.
So that's but then ultimately what you have to decide as a libertarian, and I do respect this conscious decision, is, okay, am I going to vote for the guy who still is worse than the libertarians,
right,
on the issues of libertarianism? Or am I going to vote for, I mean, it really is like, if you want to vote for what you believe in and it's about how you feel, then I understand the vote for Libertarian Party. For me, I have a hard time living in that paradigm, because you're in Illinois, so it's a lot easier.
Sure.
I guess I'm in Virginia. It's a blue state now. I still pretend it's a swing state, but if it does come down to one vote, I want to go with the guy who I am rooting for on election night.
Sure. Me too. Just happens to be not Donald Trump. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've said on other podcasts and things this cycle. Well, first off, I'll say that I decided back in 2016, leading up to the election that the system was in fact down, and started using that as a hashtag. And it all started because of that election cycle. And then you said you should make a podcast under that name. I was like, that was the plan. Thank you. So just fun little Snapple facts there. But
I like to take credit for that, even
yes.
though I think it was your idea, and I just said it was a good idea. But
I'll let you go with it. You Republicans can believe whatever you want, but I've said I think that the system is down, and the most important thing we can do is just push against that. I do understand voting out of fear for Donald Trump. I do understand that there are people who think that Joe Biden is the opposite of a fear, or is the answer to a fear-based vote or whatever. But I'm just not buying it, and I'm not buying. Like, I had a guy on my show recently that said we need to like, he's libertarian and all that, and he thinks that the government should be completely, choice funded and everything. But he thinks that the Libertarian Party and all these third parties should disband and cede into these other, the two duopoly parties, and just to make those better over time. I think that they're way too big and way too, like, they are the corporations that we're talking about with the censorship. Like, they're not going to let a Ron Paul or even a Rand Paul get anywhere, because they're censoring what a lot of people would agree with too. Do you disagree?
I think there's merit to both things. I'll tell you, right now I'm part of a movement to change the Republican Party from within, right? Like, I mean, I don't really know what our label would be per se, but I'm more in the realm of, obviously I'm social conservative, but I'm a populist on economics, probably moderate, honestly. Like, I wouldn't even say I'm right-leaning anymore on economics.
Sure.
And, I think that there's been a really strong effort within the party to change that. Obviously, leadership is still very much in bed with Wall Street and with, the desires of corporations and the 1%, which I don't understand. And that, that's something I'm trying to change from within. I think that and we are having some success. I mean, there's people like Josh Hawley, who's been elected to the Senate, who is kind of, doing exactly that. And the president, to some degree, too, has been a shift from the Mitt Romney establishment Republican corporatist mold.
Which
although he passed the
confuses
tax
me is
cuts.
why we're acting like Donald Trump is the alt-right, farthest right anybody's ever been. It's like, he went in supporting gay marriage. He went in like not taking a hard stance on abortion, really, in my opinion. Like, he wasn't. He's a Democrat by 5 years ago's standards. He was a Democrat, but we're acting like he is the evil villain that controls all of the alt-right. I don't understand that.
Yeah, all like 10,000 of them. I think it's, kind of crazy. Yeah. But really, I mean, this is where I get all populist, but I think it's because he was a rejection of the status quo in both parties, right? Like, he was not supposed to win the Republican primary. He was a defiance of the establishment that Republican voters put him in. And then he was not supposed to win the general election. And so I think it really just comes down to, they'll gaslight all sorts of reasons, but I really think it's just they want their power back. They have control of every institution except the institution that the American people get to decide on. And so, to me, voting for Trump is a big FU to those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been torn on the matter. Again, I don't think Trump is a terrorist. I mean, outside of leaving us in wars where we bomb innocent civilians. But outside of that, I don't think he's an evil mastermind or anything. But as the conspiracy guy in me, I'm like, there's a lot of interesting stuff to this QAnon stuff. And if that's true, then there's something to this orange frightening man over here that I would like to know. Like, I want to know what the deal is that makes some people, and Scott McElroy is actually coming down to stay with us this week, and I'm sure I'll talk to him about that. But
nice.
I just have a hard time believing Donald Trump's it. Like, that's the savior to take away all the evil pedophiles in Washington and Hollywood and all this, and I don't know, man.
I will disavow real quick. Of course, I don't believe QAnon, but I've tweeted about this a few times. What drives me nuts is the people who get all mad at Trump for talking about, his administration's efforts to go after traffickers and pedophiles and all that. It's like, you guys realize you're the ones amplifying Pizzagate and QAnon, right? Like there's this belief out there, which by the way, the data backs up that we have an epidemic of trafficking and abuse of children in this country. And,
it's a racist
kind of
thing
questionable.
to say, man.
Oh, I'm so
Did you not know? Hashtag
No,
save our children means white children. So that's racist.
Oh my God! Is it?
I've heard somebody make that argument.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
I've heard that argument made by a real human.
That's ridiculous. But no, I just think it's understandable why people believe it and why they're sympathetic to it. And the media and these left-wing institutions should probably look like they're at least fighting this epidemic. And it seems like they're trying to cover it up. And it's like, well, when you're doing that, why do you think conspiracy theories spread? And we've talked about this before. I've always been sympathetic, if not, I might not agree with conspiracy theories, but I've always been sympathetic to them and the people who believe them, because it's an indictment. It's an indictment of our elites. Like, the reason people believe conspiracy theories is because they have lost trust in our elites, and they've lost trust because the elites deserve to have trust lost. And so, I think it's funny. And that's,
how can you still push against belief in conspiracy theories at this point when we've got Russiagate, we've got Jussie Smollett, we've got like all these things that are made up to propagate one certain political side that keeps getting pushed. Brett Kavanaugh, all of this.
I only call them conspiracy theories if I disagree with them. So okay. I mean that's how I do it. Like, if I agree with it, I don't like using that term because it's just the truth.
Sure. So was 9/11 a conspiracy theory?
It was a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. How about COVID-19?
Which aspect?
Exactly. Yes. I've gone way back and forth on that, and we should probably save that. Are you down to do some bonus content after we're done here?
Always. I've been. Let me just say, excuse me. I've been a member of the Downers Club.
Wait. I'm gonna let you finish, but we haven't talked about Kanye West, and he had the greatest campaign of all time.
I'm so proud of him.
Seriously. Does he even have like campaign ads or anything? Because I haven't seen a damn thing from him other than Kanye West is running for president.
He had a Kanye for president ad on Twitter. It was like a speech. And it was like it was like 2.5 minutes long. So I don't know if they delivered that on digital to anybody.
How does he not have the best content for political ads? Like, I'm setting the bar here now against Kanye. I'm making political ads that are weird and edgy and shit. Like, how is Kanye not coming out and just
we should connect
me
you
off the board? Please do.
We should connect you for his GOP run in 2024.
Please.
By the way, I if I could bet money right now on him running as a Republican in 2024, I would.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised we didn't have more celebs running this year, like The Rock or Mark Cuban or anything like that. I'm surprised that they didn't have somebody step up on the left to fill that entertainment role.
Cuban would probably have beaten Trump. I don't think Biden will, but no, I was just yeah, maybe that's I kind of forgot what we were saying.
I don't know.
It was good though.
Conspiracies and Kanye West.
Kanye. So if it wasn't for binary choice, like if I didn't think Trump needed my vote or whatever, if I lived in a red state or a blue state, I probably would vote for Kanye. I really would, because he's been awesome on the abortion issue, on the issues of families, property rights. Like, he's my guy. I love him. I really do. And I hope he runs. I'm not saying this ironically. I hope he runs in 2024. Call me Kanye. All right. I'd be happy to help you out.
Good. I'll help you out. I mean, obviously you don't need my
work
abilities,
together.
But I'm down.
No. We'll do what we'll do is we'll create a firm, you and me. We'll work.
Can we just get Kanye as a libertarian and then sway you to libertarianism instead?
If Kanye is the libertarian, first of all, I don't think he is a libertarian, but if he ran as a libertarian, we'll make something happen. I love Kanye. I do.
I mean, the Christians converted him to that, so maybe we can get him to libertarianism cult.
Do you agree now, by the way, that do you still think it's a ruse? Because when we talked about his album, that was one of your concerns.
I would have to get back to you after, I would have to listen to the new Joe Rogan interview. I haven't really heard much from him other than the album. He hasn't done a whole lot of media appearances or anything. I'm not, I've watched some of his, shows and events and things like that where he's basically making it a church service. I think it's pretty cool artistically at the very least. And, I haven't seen anything, to convince me. He still does have the Kanye West pride issue, but he still thinks he's like literally God put him on Earth because I don't know. I guess that's not necessarily untrue.
Maybe he
thinks
did.
that he's God's gift to humanity. Maybe he is. I don't know.
Maybe
But,
he is.
You know, I guess. Did Jesus have a big ego? I don't know. Was he like, motherfucker, I am Jesus? That name's gonna mean something someday to you.
Get behind me, Satan, to Peter. That's pretty. No, Jesus was authoritative, right?
Yeah.
Kanye's not Jesus. Donald Trump's not Jesus. They're not. But I think you're right that they probably have some issues with pride, but they also are just confident people, and I don't necessarily see that as that bad or that vice.
Sure. So I have to go pick up a car, but
Okay.
then we can do some bonus.
Yep.
Let's wrap with, because I feel like we could talk for a very long time, and I'm kind of annoyed that my wife is interrupting me with actual important things that will affect my
Ridiculous.
day-to-day life, like my car repairs. But give me, I'm going to let you do all your plugs and all that bullshit, but give me your like elevator pitch for Libertarians voting for Donald Trump. See if you can change my mind last second. We are on the lobby level. We're going to floor 3. Go.
It's really simple. It's a binary choice. Joe Biden will grow the administrative state and may make it grow it to a point where we can never, ever deconstruct it. Donald Trump has made deconstructing the administrative state a priority. He hasn't really shown, even though he's been authoritarian sometimes in his rhetoric, he hasn't shown authoritarian policy preferences. And ultimately, it's just, do you love America? I think most libertarians love America. They love the Constitution. Donald Trump does too. God bless America. Make America great again. Thank you very much.
John, when was America great?
It's great right now.
So why are we making it great again?
Because
the other slogan didn't work?
Which other slogan?
Keep America great?
Oh, yeah. No, keep America great. Great slogan until COVID hit. Then it was just not that great. But no, I think America's always been great, even with our imperfections, and we are constantly striving to improve upon them. And
straight white man thoughts right there.
No, I mean, that's what they say. This is fundamentally what's on the ballot. Like, do you love America despite its imperfections, or do you hate it and want to totally overthrow our system of government and make something different? And
I got to say, Joe Biden pandering by saying like America was never great, blah blah blah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it depends on you gotta quantify that. Like, what is great to you, or what exactly are we talking about? Because was it better than all the other countries? For the most part, yes. Does that make it great? It could certainly be better, and always could have been. So let's focus on that.
I think sometimes it's historically inaccurate the way the left cites some of our flaws and says like, oh, this is a systemically racist country. One of my favorites that they bring up, I'm sorry, we're getting down a rabbit hole, but the 3/5 of a person thing, which was in our Constitution because...
Wait, save that, because that's the perfect cliffhanger. 2 straight white dudes talking about the 3/5 of a person stuff. If you guys want that, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com. The first member of the Downers Club ever was Jon Schweppe. So, John, thank you for that. And thank you for being here. Patreon.com/The System Is Down. And, John, go ahead and tell people where they can find out all the information about you and everything you got going
on. So you can follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm most interesting. Jon Schweppe, JONSCHWEPPE. And the organization I work for, American Principles Project, you can check out at our website. Wait for it, AmericanPrinciplesProject.org.
Some creativity lacking in the right.
We need to work on that.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, John, thanks so much for being here. And we're going to dig a lot deeper. We're going to talk about some conspiracies and Joe Jorgensen, I'm sure, and a bunch of other, a lot of other things that don't make any sense. But we'll talk to you on the other side. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jon Schweppe as much as I did, and I always do. Good friend of the show. I think I wish that he lived closer because he's somebody that I would enjoy sitting around, just sitting around the dinner table, sitting around the office, sitting around wherever, having chats about politics. It's always fun to find people who have similar interests and passions as you do. Am I passionate about politics? I don't know if I'd say passionate about politics, passionate about helping people live the most free and profitable and valuable life to their fullest potential that they possibly can. That's what I'm all about. And I think one way that we can do that is by expanding our knowledge. The only way to expand our knowledge is by talking to people, having these conversations, and doing so in non-triggering, non-triggered manners, ways that surpass, Facebook and Twitter and all these nonsense platforms. Actually having a face-to-face conversation with somebody that you disagree with, I think that is how we're going to change the world. I know that is how we're going to change the world. I am not I'm not doing this as a futile, frivolous effort. My idea, my goal, my plan is to literally change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time, and I hope that you will join me in doing so. We need to bring back the art of dialogue, the art of conversation. It's dead. It's dead, dead, dead. And you know, the media will have you believe that the person that you disagree with is your enemy, that should not be trusted, that you should be arguing with them, you should be yelling at them, you should be what have you on Facebook. I disagree with that. I disagree with voting out of fear. I disagree with yelling at people. I disagree with getting angry at people who disagree with me. The only thing that triggers me is people not being able to have conversations, because we're humans. We are all, and I've said this a million times, we're all this collection of variables. I come from a background similar to Jon Schweppe's. We've gone through different things in our life that have brought us to different conclusions. Other people have been born in even more different places, different cultures, gone through different things, different variables poured into their lives. They've come to different conclusions, and that is totally normal. That is totally fine and totally human. So go out and speak to that person as though they are that, as though they are a human, and meet them where they are. That's all we can do. I might be proven wrong at some point. Somebody might change my mind at some point. I am open to that. But know what you believe and why you believe it. But be willing to open your mind and accept new information that pushes against it. I don't hate Donald Trump. I think that Donald Trump is a douchebag. I think that he's not a guy that I would love hanging out with. I mean, I would hang out with him if you wanted to. Donald, if you're listening, I will hang out with you, and I'll tell you what I think about your policies at that point. But he doesn't have to be a fun, happy guy to that doesn't make him a fascist. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. I don't think that Donald Trump is a fascist. I think that there are policies that he has allowed to stand that are fascist-leaning policies, government overreach policies, authoritarian policies. He has the ability to stop those. He has not done those. He has not done that. I do think that he is a better choice than Joe Biden. Again, if somebody disagrees with me on that and wants to come on the show, tell me why they're voting for Joe Biden. I know we're running out of time, but you are welcome to do so. I'm not just here stumping for Trump by any stretch of the imagination, as I would hope you know by now. But I will say that I do think that for the position, for the job, for the sake of our country, he's probably the better option than Joe Biden. I think that Jo Jorgensen obviously is a better choice than either of them, because she's a libertarian who would, roll back these policies that are fascist policies. She would be the most anti-fascist person. And I don't love Jo Jorgensen, I'll just say. So vote. If you're going to vote for who you believe in strongly. And I can certainly agree with Jon Schweppe on that point. Vote your conscience, vote your morals, vote who you think is best for the job. I just can't. I can't get behind Trump, because even if he is the QAnon savior to all, I don't think that my vote matters enough for me to take that chance. So I'm not going to take that chance, because he also could turn around and be something completely different. We didn't know what he was going to be going into 2016 election. We don't know what he's going to be now. We really don't know, because he used to be more Democrat. He's the king of the swamp creatures, as Spike would say. He is the people say that he's the alt-right candidate, which doesn't really check out to me, because again, he had a lot more liberal leaning, progressive leaning, whatever term you want to use, left leaning viewpoints in the past. I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. Need more kratom refill as I spill it on myself. Yeah, I'm not voting for Trump, but that's fine. John is going to, obviously, and good for him. If he thinks that that is correct, then fine. And who knows? Maybe I can sway him in the in the bonus content. If you want to hear the bonus content where I try and sway him, actually, we're probably going to talk more about conspiracies and Jorgensen and stuff like that. But if you want to hear all that stuff, you can get it by joining the Downers Club at patreon.com/The System Is Down. I love you all. I appreciate you very much, and you're supporting the show. Could not do this without you. I would not be the guy doing the videos for the Jorgensen campaign or for the Spike campaign or for the Vermin campaign. I would not be that guy if it were not for this show. I would not have this show if it were not for you guys helping me keep the show going by supporting. This is a job. I don't get paid a lot, but I get paid enough that I know that I have to do this job. And if it wasn't for you reminding me that I have this job to do, this very important job, I think, matter of opinion, apparently. To some, they would disagree, especially after a Trump episode. But I have a job to do, and I do it because of you. I do it because of the message of, liberty and changing people's minds for the better and helping people become better for themselves, for their own sake. Like, that's what matters far more than an election, is what steps can you take that will improve your life directly now. I'm not going to become a Jason Stapleton self-help program, but it's important. And Jason Stapleton does an amazing job at it. He is spot on with his message, in my opinion, on at least on that. I don't listen to him religiously enough. Can't say that I support everything that he says necessarily. I don't know. Doesn't matter. What I do support is realizing where liberty starts. And liberty starts with you and your family. What steps can you take? What can you do to change your own future right now? You can go vote, I suppose, but is that going to directly affect your well-being? No, it is not. I will tell you definitively, it is not. If Joe Biden gets elected, maybe it'll be the end of the country. Maybe we need an end of the country. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that the answer is not more government. And whoever's pushing for more government, they're wrong. They're just wrong, because you need to push for what gives you more freedom, what gives you more power, what gives you more ability. It's not just about having power. It's about serving your fullest potential as a human. And if you want to get religious about it, we can go there. I do think that we were created by something. I think that there's a God of some sort. I do. I think that there's too many coincidences. That's a topic for another day, but I say that because I believe that we are all created for something. I think that we all have a certain amount of potential within us that anybody who's standing in the way of that is standing against you, standing against what you have, your value to the fabric of humanity. If you think about humanity as this giant quilt where each person is a little patch, you're holding something together. You're supposed to be holding something together. You're supposed to be presenting a piece of the fabric of humanity. And I think that government overreach is squashing the majority of people's ability to live up to their fullest potential. That's my passion. That's what I care about. It's not politics. It's what can you do? What can we do? What can I do to make sure that I am using and utilizing the small amount of years that I have in this existence to the fullest potential? If there is any point to this, if there is any point to this life, finding out what that point is and running full steam ahead at it has got to be the point. I don't feel like you can go wrong if that is your genuine pursuit. So do that. Go out and talk to somebody and, figure out your potential. Maybe you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're supposed to, work a different job under somebody else. Maybe you're supposed to help somebody else's career go bigger. Everybody has a role. I'm not saying that if you're not an entrepreneur that you have less value, but I think a lot more people should be than are. A lot more people should find their niche, find the thing that they do so well, and run at it with all they've got. I'm hoping that this is part of that for me. I think that it might be. All these things, I'm hoping that I am moving in the right direction to live up to my fullest potential. So do the same. That's enough diatribing at the moment. I'm mostly killing time until Jon Schweppe comes back in so we can record this bonus, but I will tell you about the other things. We're on all the platforms that hate us: Facebook, Minds, Gab, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you kids like. Let me know if I'm not on a platform that you want me on, and I will be on there. And stuff. Do all the liking, sharing, and subscribing. We've gotten lots of threats from Facebook. We've gotten demonetized on YouTube. We've gotten videos pulled down off of YouTube. We've gotten lots of pushback. Not going to lie, but it's not going to stop us. Until speech itself is dead, we will continue on. Not necessarily in this capacity, but in some capacity. The message that I'm putting out right now, I don't see that ending anytime from now until the time that I die. So I will continue on in one capacity or another. But until then, please help us get the message out by liking, sharing, and subscribing on all the platforms, pressing the little bell or whatever. I have been told that nobody's getting notifications for my videos on YouTube. I have not confirmed it officially myself. I've not witnessed it, but I've noticed that some people, some libertarian and conservative leaning whatever shows that I follow, I don't get the notifications on. So there's a good chance that you're not getting the same. So make sure you check in every now and then and see if there's new content, because otherwise you probably won't know. But click the buttons, please. I would appreciate it. And leave us a review on iTunes or whatever it's called, Apple Podcasts or whatever. Leave us a review, because every little bit helps. Every little bit helps us. It helps more people see. Like, somebody might see the name. It doesn't have libertarian in the name. They might not know it's a libertarian show, or libertarian, a show hosted by a libertarian, if you will. They might not know what they're getting in for. So leave a review on iTunes so they can walk past the shop window and see what they can expect, and know if it's worth their time, because everybody's time matters a whole lot these days. And all days. Your time matters, and it's valuable, and I appreciate you giving it to me, especially if you made it this far into my rant. I appreciate you very much. And if you want to hear more, go to patreon.com/The System Is Down. Scott McElroy does QAnon Chronicles typically every week on the same channel. Check him out. He digs into things in the news. He disagrees with me, as you know. He's a Trumper. He's a libertarian-leaning Trumper, or he's a Trump-supporting libertarian. I don't know. We'll talk about that this weekend, because he's staying at my house. So be on the lookout for things to come from that. I'm sure we'll have a lot of great conversations. I tried getting him to call into work and stay through the election so we could do coverage of that, but he was unable, because he actually has a life outside of this. So check him out, QAnonChronicles.com. You can find his feed and all the things he's doing, all of his show notes and everything. He keeps forgetting to talk about it on his show, I've noticed. So I'll mention it here. QAnonChronicles.com is now flipped around, so he doesn't even have to update it. His Twitter feed goes straight there. He posts a lot of links to all the articles that he's talking about, so you can see his reference notes there through his Twitter feed at QAnonChronicles.com. Check that out. And I will say, without giving any huge announcements, I am working on an idea for a new documentary. Not The Moon, the Myth, the Legend. And I think it's okay to make this public now. I'm pondering putting The Moon, the Myth, the Legend on hiatus. Yeah. Sad as it is to say, we did raise some money for that film, and that film still is in the works and still is a plan to be made. I'm probably going to refund all your money so that I don't have that looming over my head, because that actually cripples me a little bit, and gives me less freedom when I know that people are waiting on a thing to be done. I'm just afraid it's not going to be as good as it can be if I rush through it to try. I know rush through it means nothing at this point, since it's been, I think, over a year since that was launched. But I think I'm going to put that on hold, refund the money, work on this new documentary that'll go much faster, because I have a more clear, concise view of where I want it to go. And I will announce more about that as things progress. I'm not going to do a fundraising campaign at least not until I know for sure that this next one is well in the bag. But I do have some expenses that are going to go towards it. I'm going to be it's looking like I'm going to have to fly out to get a couple interviews. So there's that. Just know that there's some things in the works. I apologize for the extended delay on The Moon, the Myth, the Legend. Again, I do still plan to finish that and make it awesome and make it something cool. But this one is a little bit more pressing, a little bit more timely, and it's going to be easier. It's going to be easier. I know it is, based off of what I already have to go towards it. So there's that. I already have a title, I believe. I'm not going to announce it yet. I already have a lot of the content in the bag. So keep an eye out for documentaries coming. And I would say that the Spike Cohen tour vlogs are basically mini documentaries on their own. They're 10 to 15 minutes each. The last one I think was 15 or 16 minutes. That's a mini doc on its own. I'm not sorry. That's a mini doc on its own. So check out some of the documentaries I've been doing on Spike Cohen at youarethepower.net. That's a new website I set up that just has all the things that I did during this campaign cycle, this election cycle. All the videos that I did for the Vermin campaign and the Spike campaign and the Joe campaign, a couple of the interviews that were relevant. I have that all laid out nicely. It's not that nice. It's just thrown on there on youarethepower.net. So if you want to see all those as we move into this final stretch, my plan is I have one more video that I'm going to do. So we'll see how that goes. Jon Schweppe is texting me, so I will let you guys go and stop ranting at you. But check out youarethepower.net. Keep an eye out for documentary stuff. Check out You're the Power vlog documentaries and all that stuff. And vote your conscience or don't vote at all. That's how I would push you. Vote for somebody that you can sleep with. That you can sleep at night knowing you voted for. Vote for somebody you can sleep with. If you want to lay down next to Donald Trump, more power to you. But me, I'd rather lay down next to Spike Cohen. Spike Cohen. That's what I'll say. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you very much for tuning in. And please share the show with a friend. And I don't know what's going to happen over the next week. We're going to get back to your regularly scheduled programming here very soon. I have a list of several people that I want to interview. I've been kind of putting off the interviews that aren't political because we're, in political time. Gonna push through the end of this political season, and then we're gonna switch over to our normally scheduled programming of conspiracies and religion as well, and all the fun topics, all the spicy goodness that you've come to expect from The System Is Down. So please tune in right here, and until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.